Hi, friends, and welcome to a very special episode of We're All Fine. Carly's on vacation, so you've got me, and I've decided to do a special little segment called Holly's How To. Pretty catchy, right? Today, we're going to talk about how not to fall in love with a scam artist, as learned from watching way too much true crime. Let's be real. There's a million stories out there of good, well-intentioned women who have just fallen for the wrong guy. But we're just going to focus on two stories today. One is the story of Israeli conman Simon Lviv, born Shimon Hayut, I hope I'm saying that right, also known as the Tinder Swindler. This guy managed to swindle nearly $10 million from different women across the world. And he must be pretty good at it, because not only is he out and free, but he's looking to write a book about his experience. Because we all know the worst criminals always get a book deal. The other documentary I'm going to be referencing today is Sweet Bobby. For those of you guys who have not seen that incredibly disturbing documentary, that follows the story of Yet Kurat Assi. She's a 43-year-old radio presenter and marketer from West London who fell victim to an incredibly complex fraud operation in 2009, specifically falling in love online. So do you have your pen and paper? You ready to take some notes? Let's get to it. Number 1. If it seems too good to be true, it probably is. Almost every catfish scenario, every bad date, usually starts with the hook. Why are we going out with them in the first place? Why are we talking with them? Because something about them drew us in. For a lot of women, it doesn't take that much. Do you seem like a decent human being? Are you good looking? Are you funny? Great. But when these guys pour it on thick, it's amazing how quick so many of us will go running. In the case of the Tinder Swindler, his profile showed pictures of him traveling the world, private jets, champagne, living it up. Not to mention, he was a good-looking guy, so of course he's going to reel in the ladies. And once he did get them out, he was attentive. He was kind. He listened to what they had to say and then followed it up with, "Hey, want to travel on my private jet to another country, hang out for a while?" Well, yeah. Does it seem a little bit like overkill? Maybe. Have so many of us read books and watched movies on that exact same thing? Yeah. So it's not completely out of the realm of possibility that we would believe that kind of thing could happen in real life. The thing is, that doesn't happen in real life. That happens in movies, that happens in books, and that's exactly where it should stay. It's called a fantasy for a reason. It's not realistic. Now, I know the old adage, if it seems too good to be true, usually applies to retail. I think about it every time I've made a purchase off of Shein and been like, did this come out of a vending machine? Probably. We've all seen the posts of what it looked like on the site, what I got when it was delivered. The same can honestly be said about the people we date if we're meeting them online. Sweet Bobby, real similar situation. Kurat was drawn to this guy who was, of course, attractive online and looked like he was traveling the world, attending fancy parties, doing all the things we would love to do. And yet, here he was, just a normal, down-to-earth guy, ready to date online and online only. As hesitant as you, the normal human being, are about jumping into a relationship online, think about somebody who's got billions of dollars wrapped up. That's not somebody who's usually going to jump on Tinder to find their life partner. There's a lot at stake. So if you're going to find somebody that way, maybe don't expect the private jet and all of the goodies that come with it right away. Now, aside from all of the material stuff, these guys both had something in common. Something we've heard a lot about over the last few years: love bombing. Love bombing, a manipulative tactic, often involves an abuser initially showering a victim with excessive affection, gifts, and attention, followed by devaluation, isolation, and ultimately discarding, with the cycle just repeating. This is the guy who, on the first date, says, "I think I could marry you." who directly after the first kiss says, "I want to put you in my will." Let's look at the 4 stages of love bombing. Stage 1, intense idealization. The abuser overwhelms the victim with affection, compliments, and promises, making them feel special and loved, often creating a sense of love at first sight. And I'm not saying that love at first sight doesn't exist. It does. But in this kind of world, we just can't expect for it to feel like puppies and rainbows that quick. Step 2, devaluation. Once the victim is emotionally invested, the abuser begins to withdraw affection, criticize, belittle, and isolate them, often accusing them of having flaws or mistakes. So it starts out with, "I love you. I love you more than I've loved anything in my entire life. I can't be without you." And then suddenly it's, "Well, you're not answering my call as much as I want you to. You're not texting me multiple times a day. You clearly don't feel the same about me. Why are you talking to this person? Why are you working this job?" And you've already decided at this point that this is your person, your penguin. So it's hard to block the criticism and the belittling. Step 3. The abuser may abruptly end the relationship, leave the victim feeling confused, hurt, and vulnerable, and then move on to the next target. So after they've now destroyed your self-esteem and made you feel like there's no one else in the world except for them, they take off. And usually taking off with something important to you. Usually your money. Step 4 is repeat. The cycle can repeat as the abuser seeks to control and manipulate other victims, using the same tactics of love bombing, devaluation, and discarding. Now, if you've ever been at the other end of a love bomb, you know how great it can feel in the beginning and how awful it can feel at the end. But don't worry, kids, you're not alone. We've all been there. Let's go into step 2 of Holly's how to not fall in love with a scam artist. Step 2, no one is out to get him. In all of these stories, one of the biggest manipulation tactics is convincing the love interest that they need money, time, attention, whatever it is, because of some emergency. And that emergency usually involves enemies. Someone's out to get them. In the story of the Tinder Swindler, he would later pretend to the women that he was being targeted by his enemies, often sending the same messages and images to each woman, indicating that he had just been attacked with a knife, but that his bodyguard had saved him and was hurt. He then asked his victims to help him financially due to the breach of security, supposedly hindering the use of his credit cards and bank accounts. So because of his enemies, who wanted him dead for one reason or another, he couldn't possibly pull out his own money because they'd be watching that. He needs to use their money. In the case of Sweet Bobby, his enemies, who were supposedly after him due to family business issues, put him into witness protection, which he happily disclosed to the victim of the scam over Facebook. Let me tell you something, friends. I'm pretty sure that witness protection means you keep your mouth shut and you definitely don't share stuff over Facebook. Now, sharing war plans over a chat on Signal, that's one thing. Talking about being in witness protection to just anybody over Messenger? Now that seems crazy. The thing is that after all of the love bombing, you're invested in this person, and now they tell you they're in danger. They tell you that they could be hurt, that something could happen to them. And this is a person that you love and who has invested all of their time and love into you. So you're going to do whatever it takes to save them. This is what brings us to broken bird syndrome. We've talked about this a few times on the podcast. This is where you start seeing him as a broken bird, a bird that's just got a broken wing. If you could just repair it, he can fly again. And the cost to repair it? Well, for some of these ladies, it was upwards of $200,000. But hey, what's money for a fixed bird? Step 3 in Holly's how-to. Trust your gut. If it seems weird, ask questions. In every single one of these situations, these women always had some sort of realization, some sort of revelation, where they went, "This seems strange. I don't understand why this is happening," or, I wonder why he said this when it looks like this. And every time these ladies went, well, it's probably me. Now, I get it. As a woman, the number of times I've been told, you're just being hysterical. There's nothing wrong. It's clearly because you're a woman in her 40s. So we've all gotten used to thinking it's just us. But guess what? It's not just you. And it's totally acceptable to ask questions. Woman's intuition is not just a myth. It's a real thing. Trust it. If something seems off, your brain is trying to tell you something's not right. I had the same situation in college, as I'm dating this guy, and our first date was to go see Les Mis at the Fox Theater. Sounds great. But when I look over and he's crying way more than I am, I thought, Then as we went out later for drinks with friends, I saw him kind of checking out my guy friends. More than any date I had been on usually had. But I thought, maybe he's a little judgy. Maybe he likes the clothes. And then a week later when one of my friends said, hey, I'm pretty sure that Brian was dating my male roommate a year ago. Now, by this point, I knew something was up. I knew something was strange. But did I ask questions? Not until I'd had a number of shots, called him on the phone and said, hey, are you gay? And even after he said, no, it was just a year-long experimentation, not a year-long relationship. And I still said, that seems strange. But okay, it must just be me. Well, 2 years later, when he did come out of the closet, I thought, Holly, you should have known better. Ladies, I cannot stress enough. Trust your gut. You do know what's going on. That also means get to know his friends and let him get to know yours. In the story of the Tinder Swindler, our bad guy slowly started isolating all of his victims from their friends and family. The same occurred with Sweet Bobby. As Bobby was requiring more and more attention from Corette, she had no other time to spend with friends or family. Guys, this is all part of the scam. Once they isolate you, there's nobody else around to question what's going on. There's nobody else around you who's not under the spell to say things like, hey, I don't think that's okay. So remember, even as you're starting a new relationship, your friends, your family, don't go by the wayside. They're a great safety net as you're moving into something new. And as you get to know his friends, remember the adage, show me your friends and I'll show you your future. Have you met his friends? How long have they known him? What do they know about him? Do they seem like good people? If he's friends with all assholes, I hate to break it to you, but he's probably an asshole. Like calls to like. Now that's not to say that we all have that one friend that we know is just a real problem. Does that mean we're a real problem? Yeah, sometimes. Because whether we like it or not, like calls to like. Number 4 on the list of Holly's how-to. Everyone can fake a picture. Meet in person or not at all. You might be one of the few people who says, I don't catfish. I'm super honest about who I am and what I look like. Liar. We've all used some kind of filter at some point or another. Even those of you who aren't super savvy have decided to do the black and white filter, just because it helps get rid of some of those wrinkles. Sometimes we brighten a picture up just because it makes the sky look a little bit bluer. The fact of the matter is, almost everything online is made to be a little bit shinier, a little bit better, a little bit cooler than it is in real life. Even without a filter, the camera on my computer gets rid of a lot of my skin issues that are a lot more apparent in real life. Now, in the case of the Tinder Swindler, these ladies met him right away. But they didn't keep on meeting him. There was 1 or 2 meetings, and then he was busy. He was around the world. He was doing other things. And suddenly the pictures he was taking could have been anything, with anyone. As for Sweet Bobby, this was 10 years of catfishing. She never met him in person because, as we remember, he's in witness protection. Or something. All of his friends, she's meeting through Facebook only. Him, she only sees through pictures, not even through video. Guys, meeting in person and regularly, super important. Not just for what somebody looks like, but it's a lot easier to be brave behind a keyboard. We might say things we wouldn't normally say in person. We can create a whole personality, a whole persona behind the keyboard that doesn't exist in real life. Give yourself and the relationship the chance by meeting in person. It's a lot easier to avoid scams when you're looking them straight in the eye. And don't be afraid to ask questions. Be curious. And guys, be skeptical. I know we all want to be those people who are open for love. But unfortunately, being super open to love is like a giant neon sign on your forehead that says, take advantage. So maybe be a little open to love, but a lot of skeptical along the way. Keep yourself safe. Unfortunately, that's just kind of the world we live in. And finally, number 5, Google is your friend. Every date, every person you meet should always be Googled. In fact, I live by that. ABG, always be Googling. Now sure, you can find a lot of opinions about anything, good or bad, depending on what you look up. But when it comes to people, you can really get a pretty good idea of who they are, what their history is like, and what's going on with them through social media. One of my new favorite games is to get on ChatGPT and just type in who is and then put the name. I did it for myself and came up with an amazing headshot and excellent bio that I was able to use on my LinkedIn profile. Thank you, ChatGPT. For any of these guys, a quick Google might have shown them a past criminal history, which was the case with the Tinder Swindler. It might have shown them a very limited history for some of these people that only were just created on Facebook for part of the scam, as is the case with Sweet Bobby. It's not being nosy getting into someone's personal life. If they're putting it out on the internet, it's out there for everybody to see. A good message for those of you who think taking drunk photos of yourself and posting it is a great idea. I highly advise against it. Now, in following all of these steps, would these ladies have avoided being scammed? Maybe. But the truth is that these are not dumb women. They're really caring, big-hearted women who are usually just looking for love and who run up against people who are really conniving, really smart, and extremely manipulative. So is there a clear catch-all to make sure that you never get caught in the trap of an online romantic scam? No. But following Holly's 5 rules doesn't hurt. Let's look at those one more time. 1. If it seems too good to be true, it probably is. 2. No one is out to get him. 3. Trust your gut. 4. Everyone can fake a picture, meet in person or not at all. And 5. ABG, always be Googling. Guys, thanks for spending some time with me today. I know this was a little different, a little strange, but it was pretty fun. Want to hear more from me and Carly? Make sure you hit subscribe, and I would love if you left us a review. Pretty please? All right, guys, hope you have a great week. We'll see you next time. Bye.